Welcome to another edition of Dragon Ball Mythbusters, the series where I debunk a lot of the myths that in some cases have been around for decades about Dragon Ball, such as Bulma's last name being Briefs or Toriyama wanting to end the series at Cell. All of these videos and more can be found in my Dragon Ball Mythbusters playlist, where I discuss these things that in many cases were spread out by fans so much that they have come to be true in their eyes but are indeed not true. And every time I make one of these videos, I always back it up with facts and statements from the anime, manga, or interviews to back up my points. Well, one of the ones that I feel is not quite as irritating but is still discussed by the fandom is the whole thing between Perfect Cell and Trunks and their battle in Dragon Ball Z after Perfect Cell knocks out Vegeta. A lot of fans are under the impression that Trunks was actually stronger than Cell, but he just couldn't catch up to him because of his speed and whatnot, and I'm here to tell you that only half of that is true. Yes, Trunks did have speed issues, but Cell was still as strong, if not stronger, than Trunks. And I'm going to prove it to you on this edition of Dragon Ball Mythbusters. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, because we're going to get to it right now. With a lot of this myth, I feel like the issue here is mostly with people's memories as opposed to there actually being a mistranslation or something like that. I recognize that a lot of fans have not actually watched Dragon Ball Z, some of which in 20 years. So not remembering these details does kind of make sense. But I know for a fact that someone's going to bring up the fact that in the manga and in the anime, there is a scene where Cell straight up says that Trunks is stronger than him. This is early on in their fight. But without this beautiful thing called context, it doesn't work. There are tons of times in Dragon Ball where you can take things out of context and take little snippets to tell your story and to tell your narrative, but unless you have context of the entire fight and what was going on from start to finish, you can take that and try to validate your argument with it, but it's not going to work because you need complete context. Why did Cell tell him that? We're going to get to that here in a second, but if you want to go back and actually follow along, if we are using the original numbers for the chapters of the manga, it's going to be Dragon Ball Manga Chapter 385, which correlates with Dragon Ball Z Episode 162 and Dragon Ball Kai Episode 81. Of course, that's where the fight begins. It's several chapters and episodes to get to everything, but if you want to start, that's where Trunks versus Cell begins. So Trunks displays an incredible amount of power never before seen in the past, beyond what Vegeta even showed Cell during their fight. And this transformation is commonly known as Ultra Super Saiyan, or by its original Japanese name, Super Saiyan Grade 3. I have done a transformation guide going into extreme detail on what this form is and kind of who could do it and whatnot. So check that out. I will leave a link at the end of this video for you to watch that one so you can learn more about that form. But nonetheless, Trunks does power up and is very, very strong. And Cell himself remarks that he thinks that Trunks may have surpassed him. Now, this is where sort of the line gets blurry if you look at this without the proper context and if you don't actually read or watch the entire fight. So at this point, Cell and Trunks begin to fight, and things look pretty even, but quickly what happens is we find out that Trunks has issues connecting with Cell. Like, he can't connect any shots on him, and while this is all going on, Goku is having a conversation with Gohan in the Room of Spirit and Time about these upgraded forms of Super Saiyan, and he discusses how, Vegeta was able to do grade 2 and then Trunks did grade 3, and Gohan even thinks that at this point Goku is able to beat Cell, but Goku himself says it's not enough, this is not what we're looking for. In hindsight, we now know that what they were actually seeking is what would be known as Super Saiyan Grade 5, aka Super Saiyan 2, and this is where Goku kind of realized that in order to get to that level of power, it might be best if they were to go and sort of become natural in the state of being a Super Saiyan, which is where full power Super Saiyan came from, another form that I did a transformation guide on, so check that out if you haven't. So he tells Gohan that that is the goal, is to get to that state before sort of upgrading into level 2 or SS2. Now, with that being said, of course, Goku himself remarks that the form is way too bulky and just not effective for battle. And Goku himself, being a very experienced fighter, he and Vegeta, having way more experience than Trunks, knew that this form had too many flaws for it to be good in a battle against somebody like Cell, who has the cells of Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and others, and was very, very smart. Trunks, on the other hand, didn't really know that, and that's why he used this form without knowing its major drawback. But the reality is that Cell, the entire time, knew about this form and knew that it had a problem, to the point where Cell not only knew about Grade 3, but was able to execute Grade 3 right in front of Trunks and literally tell him, oh, I can do that too, and literally bulks up into doing his version, I guess the Cell version of Super Saiyan Grade 3, just to show Trunks that, buddy, you ain't shit. That's pretty much what he told him. As a lesson of humility towards Trunks, or as a way to sort of smack him upside the head to knock him out of this sort of high horse he had gotten on. Because if you remember, Trunks himself says that he did not even want to show that form to his father because he didn't want to make him feel bad, which is ironic because we find out that Vegeta knew the whole time about that form and chose not to use it in battle because he was aware of its drawbacks, and Cell, a complete stranger to Trunks, has to tell him that. So that's pretty damn sad. But I digress. The reality here is that Trunks was not stronger than Cell, because the entire time Cell could have easily busted out this Grade 3 and matched Trunks power to power, but he didn't do it because, number one, he's an egomaniac and wants to just laugh at Trunks and prove how great he is. That's what Cell does. That's in character for him. And number two, because he knew the drawbacks of that form. How did he know? Well, difficult to say, but he definitely knew because he even told Trunks. He sort of figured it out. And if you look at Trunks' face in both the anime and manga, there was a genuine show of shock and amazement and fear at the power that Cell had secretly inside of himself. So, was Cell suppressing himself against Trunks? The answer is yes. So if you want to say that Trunks is stronger than suppressed Cell, okay, go for it. But that's like saying, well, you know, Frieza is stronger than suppressed Beerus. If Beerus was sleeping, Frieza could get him. And yeah, sure, maybe, but that doesn't work in combat. You know what I'm saying? Strategy works in combat. And Cell, the entire time, was knowing exactly what he was doing. And Trunks wasn't. When you have the cells of Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo who have so much more experience than Trunks, that's what tends to happen. It's a very straw man argument. You can't use the whole so-and-so was suppressed argument to validate Trunks being stronger than Cell. At the end of the day, at full power, Trunks was either equal to or weaker than Cell. And the reason why I say he was possibly weaker is because we see how Cell performed against Goku and Gohan in the Cell games. Now, obviously, he did train after his fight with Trunks. It's unquantifiable to know how much stronger he got because remember, Trunks also went back into training during those days too. But Cell was leagues above Trunks in the Cell games, but he was at least equal to him during this fight before the Cell games. And here's all the proof you need. Now you may be asking, well, then why did Cell say that Trunks was stronger than him? Well, this is one of those things that gets lost when it comes to that magical word of context. You have to remember that Cell is a narcissist. You have to remember that Cell is very sarcastic and that Cell is just an egomaniac. He simply told him that, knowing that he was stronger than him, to fuck with him. That's what Cell does. And Trunks knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was finished when he actually humbled himself to ask Cell to finish him off. And that's when Cell said, you know what, let's do a tournament. And that led to the Cell game. So all Cell wants to do is test his perfect body. So when you have Cell sort of goading Trunks into powering up and then saying, wow, you really are stronger than me, come on. He's just jerking around with him. He proved it at the end of the fight by powering up and getting buff and proving that he was at least equal to Trunks. And I have shown you enough evidence to prove this to be true. Thanks for watching this edition of Mythbusters. Never forget that context is key in everything. And if you want to learn more about Dragon Ball, check out these videos as well.